Hi, all of my artists. So today we're going to read a book that goes along with our art project and learning about China. So this is called Miss Frizzle's Adventures in Imperial China by Joanna Cole and Bruce Deegan. So this is from the creators of the Magic School Bus. So we can look at our cover picture and learn so much about what they're doing and some of the things they might be seeing. So let's see what Miss Frizzle is going to do. Miss Frizzle's Adventures, Imperial China. Usually, a Chinese scroll was held so only a small portion was seen at one time. Many Chinese paintings seem to tell a story. The action on a scroll moves from right to left. So the opposite of what we read. Normally we read this way, so from left to right. But in China, they read from right to left. This will be an interesting book. It was the end of the school day, and I, Miss Frizzle, was on the move. Wanda, one of my favorite students, had invited me to spend Chinese New Year's Eve with her family. Wasn't that nice of her? So here's China. Here's a map with China. Here's North America. We live right in here. South America, Africa, where we've we've explored. Europe, where we've been. Now we're in Asia. And then down here's Australia. So here's a few different things you might see if we were to go to China. You might see the fish kite. You might see a butterfly kite. Bamboo strips, making kites, a dragon kite. I have been teaching about China. Now I was going to celebrate China's most important holiday. It would be fun and so educational. Learning about far-off places is fun, isn't it, Arnold? Far-off places? Uh-huh. Dear Miss Frizzle, please come to my house for New Year's Eve dinner. Wanda. So here's a little bit about Chinese New Year. When is Chinese New Year? In Western countries, New Year's Day always falls on January 1st. That's when we celebrate it, is January 1st. In China, the holiday comes at a different time each year. It can be at the end of January or in February, and it lasts for 15 whole days. Many things that we use today were invented long ago in ancient China, such as kites. They were invented 2,400 years ago. That's a long time. That evening, I went to Wanda's family. Before dinner, we strolled around Chinatown, taking in the holiday sights. Meet my brother Henry. I really look up to him. Here's Wanda. Here's her mom and her dad, her brother. Please forgive Henry's hairstyle. He's going through a stage, says Grandma. Oh, I love it. It's a great look, says Miss Frizzle. Their hair almost matches. He's got orange and her hair is orange. So Chinatown around the world. In almost every big city, there is an area where many people from China live. Chinese customs are kept alive there, such as in New York, where there's Chinatown. So umbrellas were first invented in China around 1,700 years ago. So 1,700 years ago, umbrellas were invented. And the color red means happiness and good luck in China. And this is a Chinese bride. We were walking on a busy street when we had a big surprise. Arnold, another one of my favorite students, was getting dropped off for his kung fu class. Of course, he was very glad to see us. These lessons are good for you, Arnold. There's Miss Frizzle. Hiding might be good for me. So here's more of her family. Grandfather, cousin, great aunt, cousin, great uncle, more cousins, aunt and uncle. And it says red envelopes contain New Year's cards or gifts of money. The New Year's festival was exciting. A cloth dragon came winding down the street. Men were under the dragon, making it dance. Wanda has always been an adventurous girl, but even I was surprised by what she did next. You can't go under there, you'll miss dinner. I can't go under here, I'll miss kung fu. It's cool, Arnie, you can take a makeup class. Wanda ducked under the dragon. Henry followed her, and naturally Arnold was eager to join them. I, Miss Frizzle, went too. After all, someone had to make sure they didn't get too far from home. So in China, the dragon means good luck and power. It was a symbol of the emperor in ancient China. So here's a dragon painting. Here's some pottery. a dragon robe, and all of them have dragons on it. And it says, we were under the dragon for a long time. When the dragon came to a stop, we peeked out. Chinatown was gone. We were in the farmer's village in China, and it was 1,000 years ago. I had plenty of Chinese clothing in my bag, so we fit right in. The villagers were ending their 15-day New Year's celebration. Henry, it's incredible. We've gone back to the time of our ancestors. Won't you eat with us? Oh, yes, thank you, says Miss Frizzle. Even though we were complete strangers, the farmers shared their food with us and invited us to stay overnight. In China, everyone eats a lot of rice except for you, young man. I knew I should have brought a fork, says Arnold. Stick with it, Arnie. You'll learn. The New Year's celebration ends with the beautiful Lantern Festival. The children carry a lantern all around the village. So here's a little bit on how to use chopsticks. Hold the chopstick like a pencil. Lift away your thumb and your index finger, like this. Now the bottom stick rests between the thumb and the ring finger. And the top chopstick is held like a pencil. So, like this. To pick up the food, move the top chopstick. The bottom one always stays still. So here's me using my pencil chopsticks. The next morning, we helped the farmers work in the rice fields. Arnold wanted to learn all about growing rice. Rice likes to grow in water, and it likes warm places, just like here, near the river. As we worked, we talked with our new friends. They had a very hard life, and it had not been a good year for farming. This year, their rice crop was small. We'll have less rice to sell. We may go hungry. Things will be hard for us. Your water buffalo is making things hard for me. Stay cool, Arnie, I am, says her brother. How to grow rice. Flood rice fields with a few inches of water. Plow the fields. Plant seedlings by hand. Weed fields by hand until rice is ready. Drain the fields and harvest the rice. Beat grains from stalk. This is called threshing. That sounds like a lot of work. And if you've ever watched Mulan, you might have seen a video with something similar to this picture. Farmers' families had to sell lots of rice to earn enough money to pay their taxes. When the rice crop was small, the governor was supposed to make the taxes lower, but this year he wanted to keep the same high taxes. We can't pay our taxes. The emperor might help us. Everyone knows he is kind, but the emperor is far away. The great, I might say this wrong, Yangtze River flowed past the farm. That gave Wanda an idea. Let's go talk to the emperor about this, she said. I, Miss Frizzle, did not hesitate. Right then and there I booked us passage on a river barge, headed for the palace. Stay cool, farm people. We'll go ask the emperor for help. But emperors never talk to ordinary people. They don't look ordinary to me. And then here's the emperor saying, all the Chinese governors have to obey me. Pay attention to this word. When you pay taxes, you give some of what you earn to the government. The government uses your money to pay for roads, canals, armies, palaces, jewels, fancy clothes for the governors. And then here's the emperor collecting the taxes. The river delivers. Barges carried rice to sell in northern parts of China. Barges were pulled by men or animals. That would be a tough job. We cruised down the river, eating, drinking tea, and sleeping on board. We stopped along the way to pick up more loads of rice. Finally, we came to the Grand Canal, which would take us north to the emperor. Our new passenger was a poet named Su Shai. As soon as he came on the boat, he started to write a poem. Miss Frizzle, was delighted. I even copied it in English for my class's China study. In ancient China, people wrote with an ink and a brush. Can't someone lend him a ballpoint pen? Sorry, Arnold, not in this century. Chinese writing reads from top to bottom and from right to left. So like we said, a little bit different than what we do. And then here's his poem in English. From the side, a whole range, from the end, a single peak. Far, near, high, low, no two parts alike. Why can't I tell the true shape of Mount Lu? Because I myself am in the mountain. So first brewed in China. Tea was brewed 2,300 years ago. People around the world drink tea more than any other beverage except for water. I love sweet tea, so yes, I can agree with that. Tips of tea bushes are picked. Tea leaves are dried and prepared. Tea is brewed with hot water in teapots. In ancient China, tea was often sipped from bowls instead of cups. Then here's a little bit about Chinese writing. Chinese writers use symbols called characters. Each one stands for a word. Combining two characters can make another word. So fire, which is this symbol here, and mountain, this symbol here, make volcano. And there were special supplies for writing and drawing in ancient China. There's an ink stick, an inkstone, a water jar, bamboo brushes, an inkwell, and so here's how you combine the ink stick, the well, and the inkstone. To make Chinese ink, rub an ink stick with water on an inkstone until the ink is in the well as dark as you wish. In his travels, the poet had learned that the emperor would be leaving the capital soon. There were many rich places in China, and the emperor lived in them, one after another. Oh dear, we had to get to the capital fast, or we would miss the emperor. The emperor will go away very soon. Won't this boat go any faster? I don't think so, says Arnold. As we came up to a bridge, another barge drifted in front of us. Crunch! Both barges were damaged. We had to abandon ship. Even I, Miss Frizzle, didn't know how we'd get to the capital soon enough. So again, another invention in China. The rudder for steering a boat was invented 2,000 years ago. The compass was invented for finding direction more than 1,000 years ago. And it's made with water, a float, and a magnetized needle. And this is a simple mariner's compass. I can't talk. And Miss Frizzle says, "Quick, everyone off." Cool, Mr. Boatman. Thanks for the ride. We found ourselves in a busy town, and there was so much to see. We were buying some souvenirs when we were invited to learn how silk is made. Somehow, we just couldn't say no. "Come with us. We need workers." "Sorry, we can't go. We have to see the emperor." "Forget that. Come work in our silk factory." So looking around at the village, they've got a fish stand, tools, a pharmacy, fortune tellers, furniture, a wheel maker, porcelain, fruit and vegetables, cloth, an inn, a tea house, and a silk shop. So paper was also invented in China about 2,100 years ago. It was made by grinding mulberry bark into pulp and spreading it on a screen to dry into sheets. They also had paper money about 1,000 years ago. Before paper money, Chinese coins were made of bronze. They had square holes for stringing. This money is too heavy. Try some of this paper money. So silk was made more than 4,000 years ago. For hundreds of years, no one knew how to make silk except the Chinese. After a while, the secret was smuggled to other countries. "How do you make it?" "It's a secret." "We'll find out someday," says the next man. At the factory, we started learning the silk trade right away. Making silk is hard work. But we were on a mission. We had to get to the capital city and talk to the emperor. We have to get away. It won't be easy. Finally, Arnold found a clever way to escape. He showed us how to stow away in a cart that was carrying silk north. Smooth move, Arnie, smooth as silk. How to make silk. Feed silkworms. They eat only mulberry leaves. Let the worms spin cocoons out of silk. This is an actual size. Dip cocoons in hot water to dissolve sticky stuff. This isn't cool, it's hot. Unwind the silk fibers. spin the thin fibers into thicker threads, dye the threads, and then weave them into beautiful silk cloth. That sounds like a lot of work too. As we went further north, the climate became drier and cooler. It wasn't good for growing rice. Instead, farmers grew wheat here. After a while, the bumping of the cart lulled us to sleep. When we woke up, we had gone too far. We'd missed the capital. We had come all the way to the Great Wall of China. The wall was built to keep out invaders, and at that very moment, an invading army was trying to get in. Food for thought. The South was nice for rice. The North was neat for wheat. So rice noodles, wheat buns, wheat noodles, or wheat dumplings. So after this, you can tell whoever you're with. In China, the South was nice for rice. The North was neat for wheat. And here's their journey so far. They started down here in the rice region and in the southern part of China. They went through the Grand Canal. They are here right now in the wheat region, and here is the Great Wall. The Great Wall took thousands of years and millions of workers to build the wall. It was built 1,000 years ago, and first it was made of mounds of earth with spaces in between. Sometimes it fell down and had to be rebuilt. It finally became a stone wall about 3,000 miles long. It is the largest human-made structure on Earth. Look how long it is. Warriors from the lands to the north were fighting on horseback. They wanted to conquer and rule China. The Chinese soldiers were fighting back from the top of the dirt wall. Here they are on their horses, shooting arrows. It was all we could do to escape the crossfire. Then we all set out again to find the emperor. We still had a long walk ahead of us, and we had to hurry before he left the capital. It was a good thing I brought along sturdy hiking boots for everyone. We'll be hiking from now on, kids, says Miss Frizzle. Hey, Arnie, how did she know my size? Miss Frizzle knows everything. Miss Frizzle has everything. Again, here's a few more things that were invented in China. The crossbow was invented about 2,300 years ago. It was faster and more powerful than an ordinary bow and arrow. Gunpowder was invented about 1,200 years ago, and arrows could now carry gunpowder charges. Steel was invented about 1,500 years ago, and swords could be made of steel. And then here are all of them tromping through China. Finally, we came to the capital city and found the emperor's beautiful palace. The guards had strict orders to keep us out. They also had very sharp weapons. We need some sword practice. Why not practice on these strangers? Strange is right. I'll go first. It looked like they were going to use their swords on us. Fortunately, they changed their minds. We just had to get inside the palace and find the emperor first. China's changing capital. China's capital has moved many times. In the 11th century, it was Kaifeng, and I'm sorry if I say these names wrong. Today, the capital is Beijing. The city had been the capital several times over thousands of years. In Beijing, you can still visit the ancient emperor's palace in a walled area called the Forbidden City. We entered the palace, passing beautiful furniture, jade sculptures, and porcelain vases. Treasures were all around us, but the person we were looking for was nowhere to be seen. Was he even in the palace? We hoped we weren't too late. Uh-oh, here comes another guard. Be cool, Arnie. I don't think he sees us. Then Wanda, who was always running ahead, looked in a doorway and made a grand discovery. Thank goodness the Emperor of China was still at home. Look, Miss Frizzle, I found him. Cool outfit, Imp. Can we get his autograph? Be respectful, kids, says Miss Frizzle. So, more things that were invented in China. Porcelain was invented about 1,500 years ago. Pottery is clay fired in an oven. So that's when we use clay. That's what they're talking about. Porcelain is a very fine quality of pottery that is used to make vases and dishes. Because porcelain was first invented in China, English-speaking people call all dishes china. Did you know that? So when we talk about china, normally it's porcelain. Earthquake detector. About 1,500 years ago, the Chinese invented the earthquake detector. When the earth shakes, metal balls fall inside the mouths of the toads and show the direction and the strength of the quake. So the frogs are down here, and the metal balls would fall out of these heads around the side and go into the frog. Isn't that cool? They also invented jade carving about 5,000 years ago. Jade is a rare stone that is carved into jewelry and statues. So a pin, here's a disc, and a jar. You might have seen some of these. I think I've seen one, but I don't own any. What yellow means in China? Imperial yellow. The emperor's robes were a special shade of yellow. Nobody but the emperor was allowed to wear that color. The emperor was not only the ruler of a great country, he was a talented artist too. He turned from his painting and asked what we wanted. Wanda told him all the farmer's village, the small rice crop, told him all about the farmer's village, the small rice crop, and the unfair taxes. I, Miss Frizzle, was so proud of her. Please save the villagers, Your Majesty. Without your help, the farmers' families will go hungry. Don't you know how to bow, little girl? The emperor understood at once. He announced that there would be no taxes that year for farmers who had small rice crops. He sent an official to inform the village's governor how to bow in ancient China. Kneel 3 times. For each kneel, touch your forehead to the floor 3 times. Be careful, don't be like Arnold and bang your head on the ground. Now it was time to leave. Yikes, yet another guard, and he's after us. Stay cool, Arnie. This is no time to be cool, Henry. We knew we had to get home. Unfortunately, the guard was in our way. Fortunately, Arnold had some fast moves. Look, Miss Arnold, or look, Miss Frizzle, Arnold is practicing his kung fu. His mother will be so pleased. Quick, let's get out of here. Hi-ya, says Arnold. Yikes, he knows kung fu. Wow, and I didn't have my lesson today. Help, says the guard. Time to go home. Way to go, Arnie. Hurry, everyone. So kung fu was first invented in China thousands of years ago. Kung fu is a kind of unarmed martial arts. So unarmed is without weapons, martial is fighting, and an art is a skill. So every time you have art, you're learning a skill. What it means in China. The lion is thought to guard against danger. Lion sculptures are often put outside a door. It is good luck to rub a paw as you go by. Our luck continued. Wanda came upon a handy door. It was an amazing door. In fact, it was the door to Wanda and Henry's dining room. Everyone was waiting for us, and dinner was on the table. There were many foods that stood for good things to come in the year. We had worked up quite an appetite. There's nothing like a delicious New Year's banquet to round off a lovely afternoon of sightseeing. So, if you look up here, you can see fireworks. They were first invented in China about 3,000 years ago and used for celebrations. Where were you? Asked Mom. We were so worried. Stay cool, Mom. We were with Miss Frizzle. So what could possibly happen to us? And then here's a few of the good luck food. Tangerines, good for fortune. Apples for peace. Sweet rice cake, more wealth every year. Soup, everything better than last year. Fish, plenty. Chicken, wealth in the new year. Mustard greens, a green year for farmers. Veggies with long noodles, a long life. Steamed cake, spread wealth and happiness. And the 10-ingredient vegetarian dish, all good things. The end. So I hope you enjoyed our book and you learned a lot about China. I know that I did. Hope you guys have a great day.